Part 169. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1681. Ebony Ma, General Corvus Glaive and others were shocked when they heard this. How could someone else suddenly appear at the other end of the spaceship? Several people turned around and looked. First, they saw Xiajia's huge mechanical figure. Mechanical life is not mainstream in the Marvel Universe, but it is not unique. However, it is rare to see such a strong mechanical life. Looking at Xiajia's figure, Ebony Ma secretly evaluated that he was probably on par with his own Black Dwarf. In fact, Black Dwarf is only a B and to A level existence. As long as Xiajia uses Kyber crystal weapons, Black Dwarf is not his opponent. In front of Xiajia stood several people of different heights. The two identical twin humans in the center were Yin Xiaoming and Huang Xiaoming. Next to them stood Red Xiaoming of the Protoss. To the left of the three Xiaomings were the dwarf Fei Ying and the fox demon Kangma, and to the right were the female ghost Xiaohong and the tree demon Xiaolu. The space here is too small and not suitable for more people. Ebony Ma secretly compared them and found that he couldn't see through the three in the middle. But the four on both sides were definitely masters. He might be able to deal with one of them, but it would be difficult to deal with two. The three in the middle, who were protected by such a group of masters like the stars and the moon, were probably unlikely to be weak. The most terrifying thing was that Ebony Ma noticed that there was a huge biological spaceship outside this broken spaceship. Its size was no less than that of Thanos' flagship. The interior of the spaceship couldn't be empty, right? When did such a powerful force appear in the universe, and his intelligence network didn't even get a glimmer of news? The biological spaceship outside was the Leviathan incarnated by the insect king Green Xiaoming, which was equivalent to an extremely powerful space battleship. It carried Orange Xiaoming, who was reincarnated as an ordinary human, his follower Xue Cai, and a large number of Zerg, Protoss, and monster subordinates under Xiaoming. These people were not reincarnators, and they were able to enter the reincarnation world entirely because they were in Green Xiaoming's stomach. And they had reached a certain degree of symbiotic relationship. In addition, Xiaoming himself has the privilege of Diamond VIP level, and he is also a dragon warrior of Qianxin Tower. He is one of us, so there is no need to control him too strictly. So, the reincarnation space turned a blind eye and let him bring a lot of subordinates in. This method cannot be used by other reincarnations. Generally speaking, every time Xiaoming enters a reincarnation world, his 5 bodies will be scattered all over the world, and they will enter the plot with various identities. This time, the 5 Xiaomings gathered together, which is a special case. Because this is not a normal reincarnation mission, but a death journey specially created by my master Acha to help Xiaoming. If ordinary people want to die, there are many ways. Hanging, jumping into the river, eating poison, touching the electric switch, climbing the railway track, any trick works. But Xiaoming is different. His vitality is too strong, and normal means can't kill him at all. Moreover, as the king of hell, he needs to respect life. He can't commit suicide. At least he can't commit suicide on the grounds of wanting to reincarnate and meet his sister again. This purpose will definitely not be forgiven by the Soul Gem. The punishment will probably be very severe at that time. So Acha suggested that Xiaoming could use the Infinity Gauntlet inlaid with 6 Infinity Gems in the Marvel Universe to achieve this goal. My lord knows a lot about the Marvel Universe. He also gave Xiaoming a detailed popular science. The Infinity Gauntlet is a powerful wishing machine. The greater the wish made, the greater the price the wisher needs to pay. If Xiaoming can make an extremely great wish, then it is possible to consume all the power of his 5 bodies and souls and die thoroughly. In this case, even the prop resurrection stone in the reincarnation space is useless. After this death, Xiaoming will be reincarnated in the jurisdiction of my lord Acha, and his memory will definitely not be left at all. various powerful abilities will naturally disappear. Only the source energy seed will probably not be lost. If even the source energy seed is lost, then Xiaoming will actually lose his value. What Cha needs is Xiaoming's source energy. Other supernatural energies are not worth a lot in his eyes. So, this time Xiaoming chose to die, and he really took a big risk. If it weren't for the great assistance of my lord Cha, he probably wouldn't have really taken action. Cha was very interested in this matter. After all, it was the first time she had seen someone with so many source energy seeds. Just treat it as an experiment. My lord promised that even if Xiaoming lost his source energy seeds after reincarnation, she would help Xiaoming, give him S-level power after reincarnation, and let him regain control of his subordinates and territories. But there was no way to promise that Xiaoming could become a civil servant in the underworld. Although Cha had a very high status in the underworld, she had no right to decide on recruiting new people. If Xiaoming wanted to be a reincarnator after reincarnation, she still had a way. This also eliminated his worries to a certain extent. He just hoped that the seeking death would go smoothly and proceed as planned. So after entering the world of Avengers 3, the 5 Xiaomings hugged each other, and the first step was to come to Thanos, aiming directly at the Infinity Gauntlet. In fact, it would be better if the 5 Xiaomings separated and followed 5 different Infinity Stones. Unfortunately, the reincarnation space was not opened by Xiaoming himself, so how could Xiaoming do whatever he wanted? It's not bad now. At the beginning, everyone was actually in the belly of Green Xiaoming's Leviathan, and saw the situation on the Asgard escape ship, and some of them moved to the ship instantly. Just as Ebony Maw said those words, Silver Xiaoming couldn't help asking back. All the Obsidian generals sneered at Xiaoming's question. They didn't take it to heart. To be honest, in Thanos' team, only Thanos was the one who really held the purest belief to reduce the population of the universe and restore the balance of the universe. Most of the others were intimidated by his force, and wanted to vent their desire to kill under Thanos' command, so they chose to join Thanos' army. Even Thanos' most intimate Obsidian 5 generals did not agree or understand Thanos' ideas subconsciously. They just followed Thanos according to their own purposes. Black Dwarf was the simplest, and he did whatever Thanos said. Ebony Maw used Thanos' actions to seize power for himself. In the future, when Thanos achieves his wish, he plans to take over the forces under Thanos. Corvus Glaive and Proxima Midnight are a couple. They are under Thanos to satisfy their desire for killing. There is also a superstar among the Black Order, but he is not here at the moment. It is unknown where Thanos has sent him. Probably none of them really believes in Thanos's ideals. Thanos knows this, but he doesn't mind. As long as they can help him achieve his ideals, it doesn't matter what benefits others want to get from him. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1682. Thanos did not dismiss or sneer at the questions raised by Xiaoming. On the contrary, he took the initiative to step forward and answered. Do you want to talk about the population growth rate? Do you want to tell me that only half of the population that has been wiped out will soon return to its original state under the conditions of natural population growth? Tisk, Thanos sneered, do you think I don't understand such a simple truth? According to the introduction of our Lord Cha, Thanos is not just a strong man in combat. He has superb intelligence and masters a vast amount of knowledge. There is really no reason for him not to know such a simple question. Take the Earth as an example. The Earth's population reached 1 billion in 1830, 2 billion 100 years later, 3 billion 30 years later, 4 billion 15 years later, and 24 years later, 6 billion in 1999. If it is cut in half at this time, it will probably only take 40 years to return to the level of 6 billion. Therefore, Thanos's plan to wipe out half of the population is theoretically impossible. Because losing half the population is not a problem for most civilizations. But why would he carry out that seemingly unreliable plan again? Thanos took the initiative to explain before Xiao Ming could answer. I not only wiped out half of the population, but also deeply imprinted the fear of overpopulation on every planet I cleaned and on every human heart. This fear will greatly reduce their desire to reproduce. After all, they also have to worry that if the population gets too large, I will come to their planet again. The planets I have cleansed are all trying to limit population growth in order to avoid being cleansed again. And the people are very consciously cooperating with the restrictions. This fear will even be imprinted in the genes of those people and passed down from generation to generation. This is the meaning of my action. Having said this, Thanos laughed twice proudly, and added, not only the planets I have cleaned, some planets will take the initiative after hearing my name, even if they have not been cleaned by me. Control the reproduction of the population. One day, I don't have to do anything, and the universe will be able to maintain balance and all races and civilizations will be able to develop healthily. This finally makes sense. The fear spread by Thanos is indeed enough to scare many races. It's hard to imagine that after half of a race was slaughtered by Thanos, they still dare not control it. Aren't you afraid that Thanos will be angry and directly exterminate the clan next time you come back? Listening to Thanos' logic, the first person who couldn't bear it was Dr. Bruce Banner, who was quietly hiding aside and accumulating anger. No matter how lofty Thanos' ultimate goal sounds, using massacre to accomplish this goal is always immoral and evil. An evil process can hardly bring about real just results in the end. At worst, it may succeed for a while, but in the final analysis it will definitely have negative consequences. In an instant, Dr. Banner changed his voice into the Hulk, roared, rushed out from the corner, and struggled with Thanos. His body shape after transformation is probably similar to Thanos. The strength is probably between the same. In a normal battle, the outcome of both sides is unpredictable. Unfortunately this time, Thanos already has a power stone on his Infinity Gauntlet. Greatly enhances the combat effectiveness of this Eternal. The Hulk is no match. In the original book, Black Dwarf wanted to help, but was stopped by Ebony Maw. The reason is to let Thanos have some fun. In this life, the 4 Obsidian generals did not dare to move at all, because they had to keep a close eye on Xiao Ming and his group of masters. Be prepared for sudden attacks by this group of unknown people. However, Xiao Ming had no intention of taking action. He is still a little afraid of the power gem. The power gem in reality, but the Wan Yuan Palace, which is the foundation of heaven, is very terrifying. Although the power gems in the Marvel world are much inferior, they are by no means good. At this time, he may not be able to defeat Thanos. Even if he can defeat him, he may not be able to keep him. Once he escapes, it will be very troublesome to find him in the future. Xiao Ming's current thinking is still hoping to convince Thanos. As for the Hulk, Xiao Ming is not worried. He knows at a glance that he has strong vitality and will not be killed so easily. Sure enough, after a while, the Hulk was completely knocked to the ground by Thanos, and was unable to move for a while. Thanos felt a little relieved when he saw that these strange guys didn't intervene to stop him from beating the Hulk. At least it shows that they may not be enemies. Coupled with the questions raised by Xiao Ming before, it seems that they are a group of masters who may understand their own ideas. If you get the help of these people, it will be easier to complete your great cause. After defeating the Hulk, he didn't do any last hitting, and he didn't care about Thor, Loki, Heimdall, and others. Instead, he strode towards Xiao Ming. He stopped a few steps away and said loudly, "Your Excellency seems to have other ideas about my plan. Why don't you tell me?" Thanos is all ears. I have to say that Thanos has endured the humiliation. He usually doesn't care about other people's opinions. He kills people when others stand in his way, and kills Buddha when he stands in the way of Buddha. But Thanos is also a master above S level, and his vision is much better than that of Ebony Maw. He could see that the three core characters opposite him, Yin Xiaoming, Huang Xiaoming, and Hong Xiaoming, were no less important than him. I don't know who is stronger in one-on-one, but they are definitely no match in one-on-three. The other party's subordinates are also masters, and they are stronger than his own 5 black generals. What's more terrifying is that the biological spaceship Leviathan outside gave Thanos a huge sense of crisis. Although he already has the power gem, with the power of the gem that he can use, he can only be on par with these guys at most. And it is difficult for his subordinates to survive. If these people become enemies, even if they only control an infinite gem, there is no chance to realize his dream. Thanos is a person who would rather put down his boring face for the sake of lofty ideals. He is willing to talk, and he also hopes to persuade the other party to help him, even if it is to let them not make trouble for him. This feeling of fear is actually mutual. As the Quafu Hades, Xiaoming hates the killing of innocent people the most. No matter how good the excuses for Thanos' behavior are, they are unacceptable to the rules of the underworld. Xiaoming really wants to kill him directly. But I can't do it. Xiaoming is also afraid that Thanos will escape alone regardless of everything, and he may never find him. Then his own road to death would be endless. For the Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity Stones, Xiaoming also hopes to have a good talk with Thanos and have a limited cooperation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1683. I have a plan, Xiaoming explained his plan. Killing is not the purpose, it is just a means. Having the population of all races and civilizations is the ultimate goal. Nonsense, General Deathblade waved the strange-shaped war blade in his hand and said, how can we reduce the population without killing? Do you have to convince them to commit suicide? Stop laughing. Yes, yes. Asterisk 2, Proxima Centauri and Black Dwarf nodded in agreement. Only Ebony Throat narrowed his eyes and said nothing. His deep eyes showed that he was thinking about the deep meaning of Xiaoming's words. The Limp Thor, Heimdall, Hulk, and Loki, who had been playing soy sauce, were also paying attention to Xiaoming's words. They all realized that the new group was very powerful and could confront Thanos' forces head-on. If you can be on your side, you'd be lucky. However, this man is now actually discussing the reduction of the population with the big devil Thanos. It seems that he and Thanos are sympathetic to each other. I'm afraid things are about to get worse. Thor did not dare to speak rashly and attract everyone's attention, so he could only wink at Heimdall secretly. Heimdall understood it, and when no one was paying attention, he released a rainbow-like magic in his hand, which slid through the Hulk's body and teleported him far away. His magic actually has a similar function to the Rainbow Bridge, directly transmitting. There is no need to ask about the destination of the teleportation, everyone knows it is the Earth. Of course, when Heimdall used this kind of magic, he had to pay a huge price. Otherwise, there would be no need for Asgard to build the artifact Rainbow Bridge. It is likely that Heimdall has been responsible for guarding the Bifrost and has absorbed the energy leaked from the Bifrost over many years, which led to him mastering this magical magic. This incident happened in a hurry. Except for Xiaoming, no one expected Heimdall to do such a trick. In fact, Xiaoming would have been caught off guard if he hadn't been paying full attention to this area. All I can say is that it's good to know the plot. My master Acha has already told Xiaoming the synopsis of the plot of Avengers 3 and 4. There are many things, so Xiaoming will pay attention to them in advance. But he had no intention of stopping it. His negotiations with Thanos may not be successful, and just in case, the superheroes on Earth really need to be notified in advance. General Deathblade was furious when he saw this. Just as he was about to kill Heimdall, he suddenly felt a strong pressure coming on him. The source is none other than Yin Xiaoming. This guy suddenly lost his temper. Now was not the time for him to kill at will. Everything had to be decided by the bosses on both sides. Thanos doesn't care. The people of Earth have lost the protection of the Ancient One Master and the God King Odin. He is confident that he can put down the resistance of all the superheroes and supervillains on the Earth. The person who really needed to worry was right in front of him. Thanos signaled to Yin Xiaoming that he could continue, and he was all ears. I want to use the Infinity Stones to set a universe-level rule for all intelligent races in the universe. There is an upper limit on the population of a race or civilization. This upper limit is about 1/2 of the current population. Beyond this limit, the species will not be able to reproduce. The old, weak, sick, and disabled of the race will gradually die over time. When the actual population of the race falls below the upper limit, their reproductive ability will be restored. This will ensure that the population of the universe will not exceed the limit of the universe. This is a novel idea. Obsidian Fourth General, you look at me, I look at you, and realize why I have never thought about this before? Thor, Loki, and Heimdall were also shocked by Xiaoming's idea. Only Xiaoming's followers were indifferent, because Xiaoming had an affair with them before coming here. No wonder everyone at Marvel is shocked. Who would have thought of formulating a universe rule? Too courageous. However, it makes sense if you think about it carefully. The 6 Infinity Stones have existed since the beginning of the universe and possess unlimited power. It does not seem to be a fantasy to say that their combined efforts can formulate a cosmic rule. Only Thanos smiled bitterly, haha, I thought you would have some great ideas. I have thought of similar methods before. But after I studied the Infinity Stones, I realized that formulating such rules would consume too much on the wishmaker and require huge sacrifices. If you cannot pay enough price, your wish will not succeed. It's better not to have wishful thinking. With my strength, I simply cannot snap my fingers like this. Not even 1/10 is enough. Although your plan is good, it's a pity that I can't do it. I know you can't do it, so I'll snap the fingers, Yin Xiaoming said calmly, which shocked everyone. Of course, except for my own people. In just a few minutes, Yin Xiaoming's evaluation in the hearts of the plot characters has been continuously rising. But no one would have thought that this man actually thought he was more than 10 times more powerful than Thanos. This is too shameless. The 4 Obsidian generals all had expressions of disdain on their faces. Several people in Asgard also found it unbelievable. Thanos remained calm and composed, and said in his deep and rich voice, 2 questions, 1, how do you make me believe that you can really do it? 2, how do you make me believe that after you get the Infinity Gauntlet, you will keep your promise? Thanos' words are very realistic. If you can't make him believe it, even if Xiaoming tells the truth, he can't change Thanos' mind. This is easy. I have a magic spell called Unbreakable Vow. You will understand it once you experience it yourself. Unbreakable Vow is a magic spell from the world of Harry Potter. It is used to make a vow between wizards. If the vow is broken, the person who breaks it will die. Xiaoming thought that if the Infinity Stones could not kill him, maybe this spell could. Thanos is really a scholar. He is not unfamiliar with magic, but he does not use it often. Now it is not difficult to learn one more magic. As Thanos and Silver Xiaoming held their right hands and made vows one after another, the relationship between the two became closer and the trust between them rose sharply. It was not only Xiaoming who needed to swear, but Thanos also had to swear. Xiaoming also had requirements for him. First, he had to share the Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity Stones, and all the clues he knew about the Infinity Stones with Xiaoming honestly. The second and most important point. After Xiaoming snapped his fingers and formulated the universe rule of population limit, He could not sit back and relax. There is still a lot of follow-up work to be done. The situations of different races in the universe are different. The rule set by Xiaoming may not be suitable for some races. For these races, they need to be fine-tuned one by one, and this work can be done with Thanos' strength. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1684. First, some races have just taken off the outer garments of beasts and entered the ranks of civilization. Their population is still small, perhaps only 100 or so people. Once Xiaoming snaps his fingers, the upper limit of their population becomes dozens. With such a limit on the number, most races cannot really reproduce and survive. There are also some civilizations that have just been destroyed, such as Asgard. After the Ragnarok of the gods, more than half of them were gone, and more than half were lost after the attack of Thanos. There are only a few hundred people left. Xiaoming's snap of his fingers will reduce the upper limit of his population by half again. Can the remaining few people still maintain the existence of the Aesir? Maybe they will be destroyed if they encounter a strong enemy. When the god King Odin conquered the 9 worlds, the Aesir could be said to have many enemies. Some races are still strong today, and they will greatly threaten the survival of the Aesir. This kind of civilization with too small an existing population needs to relax restrictions on a large scale. At least let them have an upper limit of several million. In addition to races with too few people, there are many races with overpopulation in the universe. The Earth in the Marvel world is one of them. Today, the population of the Earth has exceeded 7 billion and will soon enter 8 billion. With the resources of the Earth, it can actually sustain the survival of these people. However, due to the extremely unfair distribution of world resources, more than 1 billion people are hungry every day. The rich are enjoying wine and meat, while the streets are freezing to death. This is not enough to describe the miserable situation. There are a lot of other various problems. Even if Xiaoming snaps his fingers, the population of the Earth will drop to 3.5 billion after a period of time. But the phenomenon of unfair resource distribution still exists. For this kind of overpopulated civilization, it may not be enough to just have. Xiaoming does not have an answer to the specific upper limit of the Earth's population. But I believe that Lord Thanos can analyze a fair number. Of course, the Earth is not the civilization with the largest population. The 3 major empires of the Marvel Universe, the Skrulls, the Shi'ar, and the Kree, all rule large areas of the universe, and their populations far exceed those of humans. They need to be strictly restricted. In addition, this rule cannot be made too rigid. Especially they cannot be discovered by people of different races and civilizations. Especially when they have conflicts among themselves. They may find that by killing the enemy, they can reproduce more offspring. The evil ones will take the initiative to carry out genocide. For example, the Earth back then. Europeans sailed across the ocean to the North American continent. They found that they were unwilling to share this new continent with the local Indians. So they cruelly exterminated 99% of the Indians. This is because there were enough Indians and some of them survived. In other parts of the Earth, many local indigenous peoples were completely exterminated by Western colonists. That was before the human population was capped. If they knew that the population was limited. It's hard to say about other races, but Westerners will definitely exterminate other races on a large scale again. In order to prevent this, Xiaoming can think of that the population limit is fluctuating. It keeps fluctuating around a certain value. It makes it impossible for humans to figure out the rules. Moreover, it can't be done all at once at the beginning, it has to be reduced from 100% to about 50% little by little. If humans are not allowed to reproduce at all in this intermediate stage, then humans may become extinct due to generational discontinuity. But this alone is not enough. With the wisdom of the Earthlings, as long as large-scale data analysis is carried out, they will find the law one day. Tragedy will ensue. Therefore, it is necessary to rely on Thanos to make fine adjustments. It is best to calculate the different races among humans separately. According to the different situations of each race, the population limit of each race should be formulated. Xiao Ming's own ability is limited, and he cannot formulate such precise rules. It requires specific investigation and research to decide. This work can only be handed over to Thanos. Brother Thanos also said that this matter is very much to his taste. Although it is still hard to say whether the plan of the leader Yin Xiaoming can make the universe long-term and peaceful. But he has time and can continue to observe. If one day he feels that this method is unreliable, Thanos can still use his old method. Anyway, after Xiaoming has used the infinite gloves and infinite gems, he will be handed over to him. He is already dead and will not see that day. Bullshit, Thor seemed to have recovered some strength. He struggled to stand up and retorted, I don't care what you say. Thanos, you killed my people, I will kill you for revenge. And you, the guy who calls himself the leader, no matter what plan you have, you should not cooperate with this murderous devil. I will definitely stop you. In the original book, when Thor spoke, he would be controlled by Ebony Maw operating some metal parts. Don't let him disturb the great Thanos. However, now there are two people in charge, and Ebony Maw can't make his own decisions. More importantly, he also wants to see how these people will treat the Asgardians after reaching an agreement with his boss. After all, he killed many people in Asgard. The hatred with Thor and others is irreconcilable. How should this leader who seems to be in the good camp deal with the relationship with Asgard? It seems very interesting. Xiaoming looked at Thanos, then at Thor, and smiled, your opinion is not important. However, I want to give you a gift. Stop doing this, no gift can make me forgive, WTF, how did you do it? Who are you? The words Thor asked actually express the thoughts of all the plot characters present. Because just now, the leader Yin Xiaoming did something very magical. He resurrected every Asgardian corpse. Not a false resurrection like turning into a zombie, but a real resurrection. Although everyone was very weak and had little strength, one look at their eyes showed that these people were all original Asgardians, not some monsters resurrected from the dead. This is something that not even Thanos can do. In Twilight of the Gods, his own barrier Hela only resurrected a bunch of undead warriors. Nor did he achieve a complete resurrection. Is this leader working for the god of death, or is he the god of death himself? For a time, countless speculations appeared in everyone's mind. At this time, Thor was a little confused. Although he still hated Thanos and his gang for attacking and killing people, now that his own people were alive, it seemed that there was no reason to fight against them anymore. Even if he can't do it, if his subjects are killed again, the leader may not be willing to be resurrected again. How can I continue to spoil myself? Thor doesn't think he has that much face. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1685. Judging from common sense, resurrection should be a basic ability of a Hades or Hades. This is the conclusion drawn from various folk legends and works of art. Although the underworld based on the soul gem is actually not very different from these legends. However, for Hades-level civil servants, resurrection is indeed a very common ability. Unfortunately, Xiaoming, the Quafu Hades, whose level is equivalent to Hades, is a little different. He has been in office for too short a time and has not had time to master resurrection. Even to protect his own people, he has to create a unique ability, death of a friend, not death of a poor deist, to achieve the purpose of resurrection. It can be seen that novices still have many shortcomings. This time when he came to Avengers 3 to seek death, my master Acha fully considered many things for him. He was specially given the ability to resurrect the dead. All the dead people Xiaoming met in Avengers 3, as long as the soul can be recovered and the original body can be repaired, Xiaoming can bring anyone back to life. Why give him this ability? Because of this battle, Xiaoming might have to stand on the opposite side of the justice camp. Maybe he will have to kill good people at some point. This is not allowed by the identity of Hades. Therefore, he can only prepare in advance to bring the other party back to life. Killing and resurrecting is equivalent to knocking someone out, so it is not really killing. Being able to play like this is also a special treatment in the civil service system of the underworld. As long as you are fully prepared, you can avoid killing and not lose merit. When Xiaoming came to Avengers 3, it was when Thanos led his men to kill the Asgardians. Even the souls that were killed before had no time to be put into the underworld of this world. So the souls of these dead people were automatically collected by Xiaoming into his own soul world Kunlun, and were not sent to the underworld of Quafu to judge reincarnation. It is normal for Xiaoming to resurrect them at this time. With this change, Asgard owed Xiaoming a great favor, and there was no reason to stand on the opposite side of him anyway. For this reason, even Loki, who has always been in an unclear camp and unpredictable mind, willingly presented the cosmic cube to the leader Yin Xiaoming. Bang, Loki was hit hard by his brother Thor. If it weren't for the deep brotherly love, Thor would have wanted to electrocute him to death. The cosmic cube containing the space gem was moved to many places and finally kept by Asgard. At the time of Ragnarok, Loki went to the Asgard treasury to do business and took it out. He hasn't told his brother yet. Loki can be said to be the culprit of the attack on the Asgard refugee group. If he didn't take the space gem, Thanos would find the gem in the ruins of Asgard. There would be no pursuit of the refugee group, let alone killing so many Asgard subjects. No wonder Thor would be angry with his brother. Thanos didn't care about the fight between the two brothers, and Xiaoming smiled. They still have business to do. Xiaoming and Thanos have signed an unbreakable vow and trust each other very much. He crushed the cosmic cube and threw the space stone inside to Thanos. Thanos then embedded it in the Infinity Gauntlet. At this stage, Xiaoming himself has no use for the Infinity Stones, but it is more effective when placed in Thanos' hands. In the original book, Ebony Maw should have a wonderful flattering segment at this time. However, in this life, in front of Xiaoming and his party, as well as everyone in Asgard, he really couldn't bring himself to do it. Thanos discussed with Xiaoming, and the two legions took joint action and divided their troops into several routes, heading to different locations. Marvel Universe Earth American Trader New York Temple, Doctor Strange and Master Wong were walking down the stairs and chatting. Doctor Strange asked, "Honestly, you don't have any money at all?" Wong replied proudly, "Attachment to material things is a disconnect from the spirit. I'll tell the people in the delicatessen this sentence, maybe they can make you a metaphysical black bread ham sandwich." "Wait, I think I have 200. Wong seemed to have thought of something, and took out some money from his pocket. Doctor Strange. "Rubles. How much is that?" $1.50. Doctor Strange was completely speechless. It seemed that he had to pay for the meal himself. "What do you want to eat?" Wong rubbed his hands happily and replied, "I won't say no to a tuna sandwich." At this moment, a colorful light crossed countless light years and directly penetrated the ceiling of the New York Temple, smashing the stairs behind the two wizards. The two wizards were so scared that they crouched down to defend themselves. When they looked back quickly, they saw that the stairs had been hit by a big hole in the light. Dr. Bruce Banner at the bottom of the hole was only wearing shorts and looked quite embarrassed. His first words were, "Thanos is coming. He has allies. They are coming." Doctor Strange and Master Wong looked at each other, and asked Dr. Banner in confusion, "Who?" After a while, another master appeared in the New York Temple. It was Doctor Strange who brought Iron Man Tony Stark. The four of them worked together to study the problem of resisting Thanos. Master Wang first gave Tony a brief introduction to the Infinity Stones. The Infinity Stones in the Marvel Universe appeared with the birth of the Big Bang. They were refined from the essence of 6 singularities that contained infinite energy before the Big Bang. They have unparalleled power. Collecting all 6 gems can even have a huge impact or change on the universe. Thanos also saw this point and had the idea of collecting them. On the contrary, people who are not so ambitious will not do this. Asgard once had more than one infinity gem, but Odin felt that it was too dangerous to put multiple gems together. He only dared to keep one and gave the others to other strong men for safekeeping. Dr. Banner was sent back to Earth by Heimdall early, so he didn't know what the position of Xiao Ming and his group was. Because when he was beaten, this group of people just watched the fun and didn't help. Banner instinctively guarded against them. When he told Doctor Strange, Iron Man and others, the meaning of his words was that Xiao Ming and his group of newly emerged strong men were likely to stand on the side of Thanos. Banner clearly remembered that he had heard that the other party was discussing with Thanos the feasibility of reducing the population of the universe by half. If you are on the side of the Justice camp, you shouldn't discuss such a crazy plan with Thanos at all. Thanos alone is enough to make the superheroes on Earth feel like they are facing a formidable enemy. Now there is another group of opponents who are as strong as Thanos. Both Doctor Strange and Iron Man feel that they are in great danger. Let me clarify that Doctor Strange knows something about Thanos. There are relevant records in Camartage. The confusion when he saw Dr. Banner was just because he didn't remember it for a while. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1686. Who? Come out, Doctor Strange suddenly shouted, drawing everyone's attention to a corner. It seems, probably there is someone there. Don't be nervous, I just came to say hello. Huang Xiaoming, the leader's right guard, walked out from the backlight in the corner, followed by Xiao Hong and Xiao Lu. In this room, Doctor Strange was the only one capable of discovering him. Is it you? Dr. Banner recognized Xiao Ming at once, mainly because of the two temperamental girls Xiao Hong and Xiao Lu. Xiao Ming himself actually has a bit of a public face, which is not easy to recognize, especially in the eyes of Westerners. Is he the one you said? Tony seemed to have guessed something and asked hurriedly. Banner nodded solemnly and said yes, secretly complaining. This person actually chased him to the earth in such a short period of time. The strength really cannot be underestimated. Even though he now has 3 more helpers around him, he is still very worried. Back then, Thor and Heimdall led hundreds of Asgardian warriors, but they couldn't stop Thanos and his 4 Obsidian generals. It's hard to say how useful these 3 people are now. Doctor Strange values his territory very much, and he will definitely not agree to someone invading the temple. Putting his hands in a fighting posture, he shouted. Uninvited people are naturally unwanted guests. How did you enter the New York temple? It is protected by a magic barrier. It has not been damaged. This is indeed a good question. Xiao Ming has previously entered the world of the Marvel series Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. In that world, Xiao Ming studied magic at Camartage for a long time. At that time, Xiao Ming's master was the mage named Wang. After dozens of Qiyao shadow clones and years of dedicated research, Xiao Ming has basically learned this line of magical abilities. If he wanted to get in and out of this kind of barrier, it would be extremely difficult for him to do so. Because the barrier doesn't treat him as an outsider at all, and has no defense against him. However, this matter cannot be explained to Doctor Strange. Huh. Wait a minute, it seems that I can explain it. The Marvel Universe is a world intertwined with countless planes. Coming from another parallel space is not something unacceptable to Doctor Strange. Didn't my Lord Acha say that in this world, Master Guyi can accept seeing the Hulk who has returned from time travel, and Doctor Strange should also have no problem? Well, Huang Xiaoming said with a smile, I am actually the magician of Kamatage. However, I come from another parallel space. The barrier here will not exclude me. Well, I think I can feel it. You really are. Doctor Strange is a top expert and is very familiar with the power of Kamatage. As he spoke, he felt his own feeling from Huang Xiaoming. Although just a little bit. It seems that you are another Cassius. You have learned the magic of Kamatage, but you have not understood the spirit of protecting the earth and have entered the evil path. I advise you to turn around quickly. Although the king's combat power was slightly weaker, his sense of justice was as good as anyone's. Hearing that this man was also a magician of his own lineage, he immediately stood up and reprimanded him. He doesn't care whether he is Xiaoming's opponent or not. Connery is also very brave. This is because the king has an unforgettable hatred for traitors. In fact, Doctor Strange has just become the sorcerer supreme of this generation. The supreme mage of the previous generation was called the Ancient One. Xiaoming has also dealt with her and is very familiar with her. The ancient mage died at the hands of a rebellious apprentice, Cassius. That Cassius caused great harm to Kamatage's faction and almost destroyed the earth. Countless people died because of this, and how could the king not feel hatred in his heart? For this former master, he has two qualities, justice and bravery. Xiaoming respects him very much and doesn't mind his bad tone at all. Ever since he was able to see through people's hearts, Xiaoming no longer cared about such things. Be patient, please let me say a few words. Xiaoming waved his hand, and several chairs teleported over and were placed under everyone's buttocks. Then a cup of tea was served to everyone sitting down. He continued, after my persuasion, Thanos has decided not to kill people. He will not kill half of the population of the universe, of course, provided that my plan can succeed. Oh? Then please tell me what your plan is, Tony broke the casserole and asked. He didn't dare to trust this stranger easily, especially when the fate of the entire universe was related to it. Xiaoming looked at the people present and hesitated a little. My plan is feasible from the perspective of a king of hell. At least it's better than having half the population of the universe killed by Thanos. But whether these people can understand it is another question. They are still human beings. Especially now that Tony wanted to have a baby. The population is restricted, and this child is afraid of being ruined. It's probably unbearable. Xiaoming pondered, well, saying it will cause a lot of variables. So, Doctor Strange, please take a look at what the future will bring. Then make a decision. Banner and Tony didn't know that Doctor Strange had such an ability, and they both looked over in surprise. Doctor Strange looked at Huang Xiaoming deeply for a long time, trying to see through the other person's heart. He thought to himself that since this dear friend is the magician of Kamatage, it is not surprising that he knows the efficacy of the Time Stone, the Eye of Agamotto. Only in the face of a very great crisis will the Supreme Mage use this power. Now it seems that the time has indeed come. He winked at Wang, signaling him to protect himself. Doctor Strange made a heartless gesture and began to activate the power of the Time Stone. He was in a strange state. After a cup of tea, Doctor Strange came out of that state. He looked at Huang Xiaoming with a very complicated look. After a long while, he sighed and said, well, whatever. With you here, any ending is much better than without your intervention. It is safest to give the Time Stone to you. What? Asterisk 3, Tony, Banner, and Wang exclaimed in unison. Never expected that after seeing the future development, Doctor Strange would come to such a conclusion. Are you sure you want to do this? We have sworn to protect the Time Stone. Wang was still wary of Xiaoming and couldn't help reminding him. Doctor Strange replied solemnly, "Believe me, I have seen 14,605 endings. Every ending is, still acceptable." After that, he took off the eye of Agamotto and threw it to Xiao Ming. Xiao Ming couldn't really tell whether his words were credible. He might have chosen a plot development route that would lead to Thanos and Xiao Ming's failure. And Doctor Strange's soul was protected too well by his magic, so even Xiao Ming couldn't share what he saw with his mental power. Now he could only continue to move forward according to his own wishes. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1687. Xiao Ming couldn't see through Doctor Strange's thoughts. He didn't know whether this guy supported him or opposed him. In the original book, Doctor Strange gave the Time Stone to Thanos in order to save Iron Man. Later, when Thanos snapped his fingers, he even died. But in the end, everyone survived, and only Iron Man had to sacrifice himself. This was the only way to victory he saw from tens of millions of timelines. This time, Xiao Ming didn't know whether Doctor Strange would have the same idea. But for now, this result is the best. It is much more peaceful than obtaining the Mind Stone. Vision, the artificial intelligence with the Mind Stone embedded in his forehead, and his girlfriend Scarlet Witch, Wanda, will not believe Xiao Ming so easily. The key is that Vision's entire person is based on the Mind Stone. If he doesn't have the Mind Stone, he will probably die directly. No matter how convincing the reasons Xiao Ming gives are, Vision and Wanda will not accept them easily. Therefore, the leader guard Red Xiao Ming has to subdue them first. These two guys are not easy to deal with. Without the Infinity Stones, Thanos would probably only be able to fight one of them, and might not be able to defeat Wanda. Fortunately, Xiao Ming is indeed strong enough. And I got enough information from my master Acha, and I also know the characteristics of these two people. The raid was led by Red Xiao Ming, and Fei Ying, Kurama, General Corvus, and Proxima Midnight took action together. In the original book, only General Corvus and Proxima Midnight were responsible for the sneak attack. They underestimated Wanda. They only injured Vision at the first time in order to snatch the Mind Stone. As a result, Wanda relied on her powerful ability to fight against two people alone, and she dealt with them for a long time, and finally waited for the help of Captain America, Falcon, and Black Widow. The two were beaten so badly that they had to escape on a spaceship. They went home and mobilized a large-scale army to fight for the gems. They fought a grand and vigorous decisive battle. In this life, Xiao Ming, who knows the plot, will certainly not repeat the same mistakes. General Corvus and Hai Ai attack secretly, seriously injuring Vision and Wanda respectively. Faced with the threat of their loved ones being killed, the two had no choice but to give up resistance. At this time, they actually didn't know about Thanos, nor did they know what the enemy was here for. If they had gotten the news earlier, Wanda would definitely fight to protect Vision. You should know that Vision is an artificial intelligence robot created by Ultron, Dr. Bruce Banner, and Iron Man with the Mind Stone as the core. Normally, if the Mind Stone is taken away, Vision will definitely be finished. This matter is not something that can be bargained at all. It's just that Xiao Ming already had a plan without killing Vision. It's nothing more than making a new human body for Vision first, and then extracting Vision's soul from the robot and putting it into the new body. Although it sounds simple, in fact, only civil servants in the underworld with Pluto-level authority can do it. For other people, naturally, they dare not even think about it. Even if Xiao Ming talks to them, they won't believe it. Therefore, there was no way to negotiate, and the only thing to do was to subdue the couple first. After that, things were simple. After that, Xiao Ming also healed their injuries. Vision successfully reincarnated as a human, and after losing the Mind Stone, his combat power lost as much as 70% to 80%. Fortunately, Xiaoming gave him a new body with a strength no less than Captain America. Vision himself also has very complete information on various fighting techniques. Give him some time to train well, and he can also become a superhero no less than Captain America. Moreover, after having a real human body, Vision and Wanda's future married life will be more fulfilling. This change made them feel mixed. To talk about losses, there is actually no loss. Vision doesn't care about the Mind Stone. He can become a normal human being, which he wants. In a sense, it's better that the Mind Stone was taken away. Because since the day Vision was born, he was destined to be in a situation where he was innocent but guilty of possessing a treasure. There are so many masters in the universe who are eyeing the Infinity Stones. No one had bothered him before, because Ancient One and Odin were protecting the Earth. Even Thanos, the great villain, didn't dare to come and rob, let alone others. But recently, Ancient One and Odin have both fallen, and Asgard has been completely destroyed. Vision has actually become the target of public criticism. It can be said that if Thanos had come a few days later, someone else might have taken action. So it's not a bad thing to be robbed now. At least there won't be thieves coming to the door in the future. But it's hard for the couple to be grateful to Xiaoming and others. After all, they live a good life. Xiaoming and his group beat them seriously. It's hard for them not to have grudges in their hearts. In Xiaoming's opinion, this behavior is a bad thing. He didn't want to get the other party's forgiveness, so he said sorry and teleported away with his 4 men. Huang Xiaoming's group of 3 and Red Xiaoming's group of 5 all appeared in Green Xiaoming's Leviathan's belly one after another. At this time, Leviathan is in space outside the unknown land. The unknown land is under fierce attack from Thanos' army, and it seems that it will not last long. Xiaoming's army does not need to take action at all. This is the territory of the Collector to win. He happens to have an Infinity Stone in his hand, the Reality Stone. He didn't even buy this gem with money or send someone to rob it. Instead, Odin sent someone to give it to him. A few years ago, the Dark Elves rose again and wanted to destroy the 9 worlds with the Reality Gem. Later, they were defeated by Thor, and the Reality Gem fell into the hands of Asgard. However, Asgard was already guarding a space gem, and it was unwise to put 2 Infinity Gems together. So Odin decided to give the Reality Gem to the Collector. The Collector is powerful enough to protect an Infinity Gem. In fact, it's almost the same. Anyway, before Thanos led his army to fight for it, no other force dared to snatch the Reality Gem without knowing it. In fact, if Thanos hadn't obtained the Power Gem and the Space Gem, he might not have been able to snatch the Reality Gem from the Collector with his strength. Now, although the army hired by the Collector caused some losses to Thanos' army, it finally collapsed. Thanos got the Reality Gem. The Infinity Gems were all in his hands. Before leaving, Xiaoming resurrected all the people who were not guilty of death. Unfortunately, there aren't many people who deserve to die in the land of no knowledge, because the Collectors hire mostly desperate criminals. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1688. In less than a day, he got the Space Stone, Time Stone, Mind Stone, and Reality Stone in succession. In addition to the Power Stone he had obtained before, he had already obtained 5 of the 6 Infinity Stones. Seeing victory in sight, Thanos felt extremely happy. Seeing that Xiaoming seemed to be quite worried, Thanos thought he was worried about where the Soul Stone was, so he persuaded him. "Don't worry, brother leader, I already have a clue about the Soul Stone. Just find my daughter Gamera. She won't be hiding for long." In fact, brother Thanos completely misunderstood. Xiaoming understood the plot outline and knew that the Soul Stone was now on Vormir without interrogating Gamera. The trouble is that this gem is difficult to obtain. The Soul Stone is different from other gems. It has its own personality. In order for the user to truly understand the cost, the soul stone requires the user to sacrifice the person he truly loves in order to obtain the gem. Soul for soul. This is a paradox. If it is someone you truly love, how can you be willing to sacrifice it? If you are willing to sacrifice, it is not true love. In the original novel, Thanos and Hawkeye both obtained the Soul Stone. Thanos had great love in his heart. For the prosperity of all races in the universe, he could even sacrifice his own life, and also his beloved daughter Gamora. Hawkeye was able to obtain the gem because the Black Widow who was traveling with him took the initiative to sacrifice herself. What Xiao Ming was worried about was how to get the Soul Stone. Some people might say, this is not easy. Just let Thanos sacrifice Gamora. But the identity of a civil servant in the underworld requires Xiao Ming not to do bad things. Even such a small matter as injuring Vision and Wanda and then curing them would damage his merits. If he let Thanos sacrifice Gamora, the price would be not much different from Xiao Ming killing good people himself. It's not easy to be the king of hell. The key is that if Gamora can be resurrected after death, it won't be that much damage. But when my Lord Acha introduced this plot to Xiao Ming, he said that Gamora, whose soul was sacrificed, could not be resurrected. This is troublesome. To this end, Acha helped Xiao Ming design some plans. But it is hard to say whether it will work. There are some gambling elements in it. However, in any case, there is no option to let Thanos sacrifice Gamora and pick up the bargain himself. Xiao Ming made up his mind and replied, "Brother Thanos, you misunderstood. I know where the Soul Stone is. Vormir. Let's go now." After an incense stick, Xiao Ming met the Red Skull on Vormir. He is in this state now, half dead, guarding the things he wants most all day long, but he can't get them at all. It is the best punishment for his evil deeds in his life. Seeing him so miserable, Xiao Ming has no interest in killing him again. After listening to the Red Skull's introduction of the requirements of the Soul Stone, Thanos did not immediately propose to sacrifice his daughter Gamora. His meaning is very clear, hoping that the leader can go to sacrifice. Gamora is his most beloved daughter after all. It is better to live or not. Xiao Ming did not count on him, and took a step forward to start testing his own methods. It should be said that my master Acha is quite reliable. The first plan she designed for Xiao Ming was successful. It was very simple, just use source energy to exchange. The rules of the soul gem were set by the reincarnation space. If there is an equal force to compete, it may be possible to make some adjustments. Xiao Ming spent a day and a night, instilling a lot of source energy, and finally exchanged the soul gem. At that moment, Thanos and Red Skull were a little confused. They didn't understand what kind of ability could get the soul gem without sacrifice. The next second, Red Skull turned into ashes. Without the soul gem, he, the guard, didn't need to stay. Naturally disappeared. Thanos was full of joy. The leader's performance proved that this person was indeed very, very strong. The leader did not lie. This strength can indeed support the Infinity Gem and achieve the wish that is much better and more difficult than his own plan. Thanos did not take the soul gem in Xiao Ming's hand, but directly took off his Infinity Glove and handed it to Xiao Ming. His eyes were filled with encouragement and urging from comrades. That means, hurry up, don't waste time. Make a wish right now. Don't you know that the longer the night, the more dreams you will have? In the original novel, all Thanos' actions were for the purpose of making that one wish. He snapped his fingers as soon as he got all the Infinity Stones. But Xiao Ming couldn't make a wish right away. After making a wish, he would definitely die and reincarnate. Some aftermath work needed to be done in advance. The most important thing was that his relatives, friends, subordinates, insect humans, insect tribes, monsters, Protoss tribes, etc., had to be settled before he died. Even his own mind beasts, especially those that had obtained souls. They all needed to be separated and not let them die with him. Xiaoming first used the authority of the Dragon Warrior to hand over his private world to the management of the reincarnation space. After his death, those insect humans, monsters, etc. should be taken care of by the reincarnation space. In the second step, Xiaoming terminated the subordinate relationship between his 6 followers, Xiao Hong, Xiao Lu, Xiao Jia, Karama, Fei Ying, and Xue Cai, and used props to send them and the army in the belly of Green Xiaoming's Leviathan back to the private world. I brought them here for this mission just in case. If we can't reach an agreement with Thanos, we have to fight a big battle. Now that the 6 infinite gems are in hand, there is no need to fight. Xiaoming simply sent them all back. My parents are in hibernation in the Sheneng 2 spacecraft, and they play the martial arts planet game by the way. Now that the strength of the Shen family has greatly increased, Xiaoming doesn't have to worry about the safety of the 2 elders. Besides, I will be reincarnated soon, and my master Acha will give the new self S-level strength, and I will still be able to see the 2 elders again. The third step is to liberate all the mind beasts. They have done so many things for me, Xiaoming can't bear to let them fall with me. He gave new souls to every mind beast that didn't have a soul, gave them sufficient mind power, cut off their connection with himself, and sent them to the private world. Including hot-blooded Nezamao Moer, hot-blooded Muzha Xiaoshenan, uniformed mind beasts, 100 ghosts, Eva goddesses clones, alien King Kong, Transformers. Zioxio doesn't need to worry, he is a dragon, although he is my mount, but my death will not affect him. Qingxinglu will ensure his survival. It's just that those Hades warriors who are in charge of Quafu Underworld are all my clones, and they must die with me. Once I die, Quafu Underworld will inevitably collapse. The reincarnation work of the Yanhuang 3-star system can only be entrusted to my Lord Acha. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1689. Feeling someone tap on his shoulder, Zhang Xiaoming woke up from his half-asleep state and trembled all over. Someone said to him, "Hey, Ming, don't sleep. I admire you too. You can fall asleep while watching Avengers 4. How can you be so tired? Wake up. It's time for the final battle. You will regret it if you miss it." At asterisk, Xiaoming was confused. What's going on? What the hell is this? He looked up and saw that it was pitch black. It was indeed a movie theater. There was a huge screen in front of him, and rows of male and female classmates were sitting around him. The plot on the screen was indeed that Thanos was leading his subordinates to fight a final battle with the superheroes on Earth. The 2 sides fought so hard that it was very beautiful. Brother Thanos was indeed awesome. He single-handedly challenged the 3 giants of the Avengers, Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. He firmly had the upper hand. However, where did Thor's handsome beer belly come from? So sexy. And the Captain America. On the surface, he couldn't lift Thor's hammer, but now he has mastered all the combos. It's interesting. Captain America Steve Rogers is indeed a very kind person. He sticks to the justice in his heart. It's just that he was deceived by the false propaganda of the West. His enemy Hydra is certainly not a good thing, but the American traitor government he serves is also a bunch of bastards. Massacre of Indians, smuggling black slaves, trafficking Chinese workers, oppressing and exploiting the proletariat, exporting war to the whole world, is also an evil existence. Steve saw the signs, but he neither thought deeply about it nor stopped it. Instead, he maintained the operation of that government. He actually became a running dog of the rich. Xiaoming had a very ordinary impression of him. Now that he found out that he is a character in the movie, it is understandable. It's not his problem, but the values of the screenwriter behind him. Thinking back carefully, it seems that more than 10 years of memories have come to my mind. In this life, I am just an ordinary 17-year-old high school student. There is no source energy, no clone, no supernatural energy, no Bai's Hang Cliff, Chianxin Tower, Wanyun Hall, no Quafu Hades, no Dragon Warriors, only an ordinary high school student. Today is the day when the school organizes students to watch a movie together, and the movie they watch is Avengers 4, Endgame. The school actually has good intentions. High school students are under a lot of pressure, and watching a movie to relieve stress is also very good. Besides, this movie is so famous, if the school does not organize it, students may skip classes to watch the movie. Students who have seen it will come back to show off to students who haven't seen it, and seduce more students to watch it, which will disturb the school for a long time. The school simply organized everyone to watch it together to solve the problem at one time. I seem to have fallen asleep while watching the movie, and it was my high school classmate Tan Guangwen who woke me up just now. Could it be, Masaka, I was dreaming just now? It shouldn't be. I have been looking forward to this movie for a long time, and it is impossible to dream when I fall asleep in the middle. There is something strange about this matter. Besides, when you dream, you will forget it quickly after you wake up. If you think about it carefully, you will find that there are countless strange and contradictory details in the dream. But now, those things that seem to be in a dream are still vivid in my mind and I have not forgotten them. The last thing I remember was snapping my fingers in the world of Avengers 3. Then all 5 bodies quickly collapsed, and dust returned to dust. Oh, it turns out that I died and reincarnated again. This is my new life. Today, it was probably my master Acha who did something to restore my memories of my previous life. Maybe I will get S-level abilities and enter the reincarnation space next. Kiadu Mate, wait a minute, things are still wrong. Why are there so many overlaps between the memories of this life and the memories of the previous life 17 years ago? My parents are still my parents, and my classmates and teachers in elementary school, junior high school, and high school are still the same people. What is different is the environment of the world. This world is called Earth. Although China is also a powerful country, it is far from the height of Pangu Star China. The world's largest country is the United States. Moreover, I have been exposed to many works of art in the past 17 years, including novels, comics, movies, and TV. They all seem to be related to the reincarnation world or game secrets of the previous life. This is not right again. Could it be that this life is not real, and I am actually dreaming now? Something went wrong with my master Acha, and my reincarnation failed. Now I am in a strange state, which has caused the experience of the previous life to enter the dream in this form, constructing a seemingly true dream. Unable to make a judgment, Xiaoming closed his eyes, thought seriously, and felt seriously. Tan Guangwen beside him saw Zhang Xiaoming close his eyes again, shook his head, and stopped trying to wake him up. It seems that my brother is really too tired and can't do without a sleep. Alas, I really shouldn't have woken him up just now, delaying my brother's sleep. Unfortunately, not much time has passed, and Tan Guangwen has to wake Zhang Xiaoming up. No, the movie is over, and you can't catch up in the cinema. Seeing Xiaoming still dazed, old Tan was worried and took him to his home to rest. Tan Guangwen ran to the living room to play games. Xiaoming's previous level was not exaggerated. He was very good at judging reality and illusion. After being confused for an unknown period of time, Xiaoming felt a silver light reappear in the depths of his soul. It was his own source energy seed. He could not feel any of the other source energy seeds that he had exchanged with others. In other words, the experience of the previous life was not a dream, and the silver source energy was still bound to his soul. So what happened in this life? Epsilon equals Omicron asterisk, alas, a sigh sounded in Xiaoming's soul, and a gentle voice said. Xiaoming, you are really stubborn. You will not be able to graduate if you continue like this. Hearing a voice, Xiaoming was relieved. This shows that all this is actually an illusion created for him by a big boss for some unknown purpose. It seems that the other party has no ill will towards him. I don't know if it was my master Acha who did it. She really likes to play pranks. But this voice is not Acha's. I feel a little familiar with it and say, oh, it turned out to be her. Haha. Little spider, you are awesome. You are so powerful that you dare to cut off my master Acha's beard. She has a bad temper. In a blink of an eye, the spider-like figure of little spider appeared in the depths of Xiaoming's soul. Acha can't do anything to me. I can't do anything to you either. To be honest with you, source energy shouldn't be used like this. What did you say? Xiaoming suddenly said a catchphrase in a dialect from an unknown place. Little spider's big mouth cracked, and her appearance was quite ferocious, but Xiaoming still saw a smile on her spider face. Well, in fact, I can't be sure that what we know is 100% correct. But it's probably close. Finally, I'll give you a chance not to listen, and you can choose. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1690. For a moment, Xiaoming really wanted to stop asking. Xiao Zhu's meaning was very clear. It would be better for him not to ask than to get to the bottom of it. She had no ill will towards him, which Xiaoming could be sure of. So he asked tentatively, if I choose not to hear the truth, what should I do next? Hearing this, Xiao Zhu's tone also had a hint of joy. The answer was, it's very simple. From now on, don't use the source energy. You are not ready yet. The rest doesn't matter. Just live your life according to your heart. If you feel a little awkward, I can erase your previous memory or help you reincarnate again. Why is that? Xiaoming was puzzled. Is it better to be kept in the dark? Is there anything wrong with knowing more knowledge? Of course it's right to know more knowledge, but it will be a bit troublesome, Xiao Zhu said helplessly. As the king of hell, you should know the basic rules of the underworld, right? Xiaoming seemed to understand. You mean if you do good intentionally, you will not be rewarded, if you do evil unintentionally, you will not be punished. Seeing Xiao Zhu nod her big spider's head, Xiaoming thought and continued to analyze. According to the rules of the underworld, if two people are both people who accumulate virtue and do good deeds, one is spontaneous. The other is forced because he is afraid of being punished by the underworld when he dies. Then the merits obtained by the two people are different. Unintentional goodness is the best. I seem to understand a little bit. Xiao Zhu's meaning is very clear. She hoped that Xiaoming would give up asking questions and give up his previous memories, and live his life according to his heart. If he could continue to be a good person, he would achieve greater success in the future. If he degenerates into a bad person, then there is nothing to say. In fact, even if he was reminded like this, it would have a bad impact on Xiaoming's realm improvement. If he was unwilling and continued to ask questions, the impact would be even greater. It seemed that he really should listen to Xiao Zhu's words, and reincarnation would be the best choice. Unfortunately, his personal feelings fettered his will. Xiaoming thought about it for a while, but still decided to let Xiao Zhu tell him the truth. He was reluctant to give up the height he had reached, the feeling of being powerful, and hoped to reunite with his sister again. Especially reluctant to give up everything he knew. Xiao Zhu lowered his spider head and was speechless for a long time. However, she felt that this was just a little bump and would not affect the overall situation. She still said what she knew. According to her, before the beginning, there was only chaos. There was no concept of space, time, matter, spirit, in chaos. There are only countless possibilities. Everyone likes to call the beginning of the universe a chaos, which is just a specious habitual statement. There is not even space in chaos, so where does the concept of a peace come from? However, since we need to use the shallow language of human beings to describe these indescribable things, we can only do this to this extent. The origin of everything can only be out of nothing. The first generation of gods was born from chaos. They are also called true gods, source gods, elemental gods, and other names. This elemental god has some similarities with the so-called earth, fire, water, and wind, but it is more primitive and more basic than this concept. These true gods are absolute existences, truly immortal. To describe them in scientific language, they are a kind of entropy reduction existence, constantly releasing the most basic source energy to the outside. Because they have almost no selfishness and no desires. So the first generation of gods did not take the initiative to create the world. The world is just a variety of intersections formed by the endless energy they constantly release and the intersection and fusion with each other. However, these energies do not have the characteristics of entropy reduction, so the universe is also constantly spreading and decaying. Fortunately, the true gods are still constantly releasing energy to supplement the universe. The universe is really full of wonders, one-dimensional, two-dimensional, three-dimensional, even hundreds of dimensions, thousands of dimensions. Various forms of universes are far beyond human imagination. The difference in dimensions is just one of countless differences. The rules of each world may be completely different. In world A, 1 add 1 equal 2, in world B, 1 add may first be equal to 3. This does not mean that 2 is replaced by 3, but that in that world, 1 add 1 is equal to 3. The feeling in the hearts of ordinary people is, nonsense, how can such a world exist? In fact, not only does it exist, but it is almost endless. There are so many similar possibilities that it is impossible to list or imagine them. What Xiaoming and Xiaozhu can access is the world they are familiar with, that is, the kind of world we are familiar with. In the universe, it is just a drop in the ocean. Other worlds with fundamentally different rules are also equivalent to nothing for them. Since energy will gradually disappear, everything in the world will have life and death, creation and extinction. In places where energy concentration is relatively high, extremely powerful beings will appear. They are naturally not true gods, and they will also grow old, get sick, and die. Among them, there are gods, demons, dragons, phoenixes, Buddhas, ancestors, saints, God, and so on, all of which are extremely powerful beings. Some people are even creators. In fact, their so-called creation is nothing more than gathering the source energy scattered by the true gods to create a new world. It can barely be regarded as a porter. They are so powerful that they can modify some of the rules of the universe, so many of them ignorantly think that they are gods, or something similar. In fact, they will still perish. They are fundamentally different from true gods. The most essential difference is reflected in entropy increase or entropy decrease. If an individual does not absorb any energy from the outside world, can he exist forever? If not, they are actually false gods. The difference between true gods and false gods also lays the foundation for two extremes in the universe: giving and asking. The true God does not need any external things, he is always in a state of giving. In order to maintain his own survival and strength, the false god must constantly ask. Endless desire for taking will give birth to all the evil in the universe. Stealing, robbery, plundering, killing, fraud, and the oppression, exploitation, etc. derived from it. If we put it on humans as an example, humans can obviously have enough food and clothing long ago, but they still have desires and continue to plunder resources from nature. A large number of creatures have been forced to the point of extinction. What's worse, humans themselves are not united, and are divided into large and small groups, exploiting and oppressing each other in various names, even to the point of genocide. Its essence still lies in an individual, whether you give or take. Therefore, if you can't see the level of true God, then the universe is indeed following the law of the dark forest. Killing and plundering each other is the kingly way, and kindness can only bring about its own destruction. This seems to have become the so-called truth of the universe.